పోయి కూర్చో బిన్నెరా.
Hello children, welcome back to social science class. Today I will take economics, that is fourth chapter, public finance and budget. Public means public finance means the finances of the government. So government, how it will get the finance? Can you tell me? Through in tax. Many taxes are there, children. Income tax, road tax, and duties. Duties means import and export. That is called duty. Follow? Not tax. Okay? Directly or indirectly, government is collecting the taxes, and that is called public finance. Understood? Again, I'll repeat. The finances of the government is called public finance. Now, later I will explain about the budget. Each family earns its income by working in jobs in the agriculture, industry, and moreover any places, factory or business, whatever it is, or services sector. Balancing the income and expenditure by an individual or a family and thereby achieving progress is an art. Example I'll tell you. In your family, think that two members are working and then earning. So that is income for your family. But dependent on 8 people means the earning will be and is not sufficient and earning will be less and then expenditure will be more. So like this, balancing the income and expenditure by an individual or a family and thereby achieving progress is an art. When the expenditure is more than the income, it leads to debt. Debt means what? Loan. If income is less and then expenditure is more, means what will happen in the family? We will borrow money from others and run the family. So, in economics, that is called debt. DEBT, debt. Debt means sala, loan. Personal finance deals with the kind of income, expenditure, and debt management of an individual. They may ask you a question, what is personal finance? I'll repeat. Personal finance means it deals with the kind of income, expenditure, and debt management of an individual. In the same manner, government manages its finance. It is called public finance. Now understood, personal finance is different. That is related to only individual. Public finance, it is related to government. The government manages public finance according to fiscal policy. Now here I'll show you the picture. Management of income, expenditure and debts by the government is called public finance. See here we have given managing public needs, economic development, removes inequality, maintaining price stability. Everything is in the hands of government. And public finance means here national debt. Sometimes government will borrow money from foreign country in order to construct shipyard or to buy the war aeroplane or so many things. Tax collection, expenditure, national budget, deficit surplus, all this related to public finance. Now next, fiscal policy. Fiscal policy means what? Taxes of the government, taxes, government spending. The government manages public finance in accordance with its fiscal policy. How much ever the income government will get, according to that only should move. That is called expenditure. So the other word is called fiscal policy. Now next one, here The government manages public finance according to fiscal policy. I explain. Now, before going to the financial year budget, I would like to say something more. Developing countries like India utilizes public finance in order to eradicate poverty and unemployment, regulate financial upheavals and commodity prices, and thereby establish financial stability. In India, the financial year starts from 1st April. See here I am giving now the April, 1st April and ends on 31st March of the successive year. I have given the picture here, see, this is a thing. This is called considered as a financial year. The statement of estimated income and expenditure of a year prepared by the government is called budget. Now here I am showing the picture. Annual statement of estimated income and expenditure of the government for the ensuing fiscal year is called budget. Now the central and the state government present their own budgets. Central government will present whole lot of the country budget that once in a year. At the same time, each state also in the state internally whatever now income and expenditure they will calculate and present budget. So totally two budgets are there in our country, that is central budget and state budget. Every year, the government presents a budget in both the houses in February or March. Through this budget, the government tries to achieve the objective of its fiscal policies. In India, the central budget is prepared by the finance minister in consultation with the finance department. They may ask you who presents the budget in the assembly or in the Lok Sabha. They will ask you. Then you should write finance minister. Why I am telling you only finance minister, not name, because the ministers will be keep on changing. So if you write finance minister, that is only the correct post you should write. So you will get 1 mark. The finance minister introduces the central budget in the Lok Sabha in February or March. Now budgets are of three types. See here, surplus budget, deficit budget and balanced budget. Now here for that meaning I will give you what is surplus budget. In India, the government normally presents a deficit budget and try to achieve economic progress. The government spends money for various purposes like defense, administration, economic development and welfare of the people. This is called public expenditure. The expenditure of the central government is of two types, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Then what is revenue expenditure? Again, revenue expenditure is classified into two groups, planned expenditure and non-planned expenditure. The government spends money on administration, national economic development and citizens, welfare. And under the central planned expenditure, the government spends money on three types of services and developments. They are financial services, social services, and general services. The government collects income from various sources for its expenditure. This is called public revenue. The central government collects its income from various sources. These sources can be classified under two heads as revenue receipts and capital receipts. The money paid by the citizens without any expectation in return is called tax. Taxes are the major sources of revenue for the government. And here, the budget I told you, children, tax and expenditure. So, budget surplus. If the expenditure is if the expenditure is less and income is more, then that is called surplus budget. If expenditure is more, income is less, the estimation of expenditure of the government is more than income, it is called deficit budget, negative. And balanced diet. If the both the income and expenditure are equal, it is called as a balanced budget. I have shown the picture, you can understand. Or they may ask you what is surplus budget either, or what is balanced budget, means one sentence only you can write. Now there are direct you know tax. Tax collect directly from an individual or a company on whom it has been imposed is called direct tax. Now we pay tax, children, according to our income every year, once in a year, before the month of March 31st. Example, income tax and corporate tax. So here we have shown 2018 and 19, no, this tax they are shown. So collection of tax in percentage we have shown. Next, indirect tax. The central government collects its income from various sources. These sources can be classified under two heads: revenue receipts and capital receipts. The money paid by the citizens without any expectation in return is called tax. Taxes are the major sources of revenue for the government. The principle used by the government in the imposition of taxes is called principle of progressive taxation. The taxes imposed by the central government are of two types: direct taxes and indirect taxes. The main types of direct taxes are personal income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, stamp duty, etc. The main forms of indirect taxes are central excise duty. I told you duty means, according to economics, tax. Import and export taxes, service tax and foreign travel tax, etc. Through taxation, the government aims at increased revenue collection. Now here we have shown the picture. Now direct tax are of two kinds. I have shown the picture: direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax means personal pays tax from own pocket. Example, income tax. Indirect tax means person collects tax from the customer, pays to government. One example I would like to tell you, that is GST now, or VAT. So the seller, he will sell the commodity, and then for the buyer, when he will give the bill, then in that he will say VAT, I will add VAT or tax. So that tax he will collect from the customer and pay to the government. That is also called indirect tax. Now next one, the main types of direct taxes are personal income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, stamp duty tax, etc. I mentioned, through taxation, the government aims at increased revenue collection. See, various taxes are there, children, innumerable. I can't mention all that, you will not understand also. So, totally, generally, I will tell you, tax only is a source, income source of the government. Apart from taxes, the government generates revenue from other sources. This is called non-tax revenue. Now, here, non-tax revenue, through taxation, the government aims to increase revenue collection. The revenue generated by the government, which is intended to be used to create new properties in various fields of the economy is called capital receipts. Now we are showing here the figure below shows the revenue and expenditure of the government of India as per 2014 to 15 budget. Now rupee comes from and rupees goes to. First picture shows rupees come from borrowing and other liabilities, non-debt capital receipts, non-tax revenue, service tax and other taxes. Now here corporation tax, income tax, customs, union excise duties all come from income is coming from now all these sources. Now goes where it goes central plan, maybe 5-year plan assistance to states and UTS, non plan assistance to states and duties, state share of taxes and duties, interest payments, defense, subsides, other non plan expenditure. Now, here the government generates the capital revenue mainly through loans from internal and external sources. Now, next, four concepts of deficit are used and are calculated as shown below. Fiscal deficit, the excess of government's expenditure over its revenue receipts and non-debt capital receipts is a fiscal deficit. It is calculated as fiscal deficit equals revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipts minus total expenditure. Like this it will come. So this one calculation they are given here. The revenue deficit is excess of total revenue expenditure of the government over its total revenue receipts. It is calculated as this formula. Revenue deficit equals revenue receipts minus revenue expenditure. Thirdly, the primary deficit is defined as fiscal deficit of current year, current means present year, minus interest payments on previous borrowings. It is calculated as primary deficit equals fiscal deficit minus interest payment. Now here, budget, fourth one. Budget deficit is the overall gap between revenue and expenditure during a given year. It is calculated as budget deficit equals total revenue minus total expenditure. Now, overall, I would like to come back, before concluding, the money obtained through disinvestment, you know, disinvestment sorry for late. According to the definition of the Indian Planning Commission, deficit financing is improving the net purchasing power in the economy through the budgetary provisions of the government. Deficit is indicated by the negative sign minus. Here we are shown no minus minus. Many places we are shown minus minus. That means again I'll repeat. Budget deficit equals total revenue minus total expenditure. Deficit is indicated by the negative signs minus. There are four kinds of deficit financing: revenue deficit, tax deficit, fiscal deficit, and primary deficit. When the government is not able to overcome fiscal deficit even after taking loans, the Reserve Bank of India gives loans to the government in the form of printing notes, that means currency, and putting them into circulation. Fiscal deficit can be shown in the form of a formula in this manner. Already I have explained. Fiscal deficit equals revenue receipts plus non-debt capital receipts, both also adding, and they both also will be minus in total expenditure. That is called fiscal expenditure. Now, this is very complicated, high level of lesson, children, in economics, public finance and budget. Once if you read the textbook slowly, then only you can understand, and also listen to this lesson. And before going to that, once again recap, I'll give you a recap. That is public finance, the finances of the government. Budget means the statement of estimated income and expenditure of a year prepared by the government. Surplus budget, it shows excess income as compared to expenditure. Deficit budget means it shows the expenditure is more than the income. Balanced budget means it shows that both income and expenditure are the same. Revenue expenditure means the expenditure incurred by the central government from the sources of revenue income. Capital expenditure means the money spent by the government on agriculture, industry, transport, electricity, irrigation projects, and other developmental activities, along with creating new assets. Revenue receipts means the income generated by the government through tax and non tax sources. Tax revenue means the money paid by the citizens without any expectation in return. Capital receipts means the revenue generated by the government which is intended to be used to create new assets in various fields of economy. Non-debt capital receipts, the money obtained through disinvestment and repayment of loans. Internal debt, DEBT, debt means loan, I told you. Internal debt, the loan obtained from citizens of the country, banks, financial institutions and industries. Foreign debt means foreign loan, loan from foreign countries. The loan obtained from foreign governments, foreign financial institutions. Foreign financial institution means IMF or World Bank, and international financial institutions. So like this I have given all recap meanings of the terms and all. So I hope that you understood the public finance and the budget, and this needs lots of general knowledge also, children, to understand this lesson. Once you go through the textbook, then clearly you will understand. So I have completed this lesson, public finance and the budget, and I wind up. Thank you.